For a long time, I kept feeling tired. Not exactly exhausted, but a quiet kind of tired. Mornings, I didn't want to get out of bed. Nights, I'd lie there forever and still not sleep deeply. Some days I didn't feel like talking to anyone, didn't want to see anyone, without any clear reason. It was just, nothing felt interesting enough to start. At first, I thought it was because I was working too much. Or maybe the weather, the stress, the lack of sleep. But the longer it went on, the more I realized something was wrong. I still slept. I still ate. I still worked. Everything still functioned as normal, but my heart felt empty. My head felt heavy. My body felt sluggish. I didn't feel motivated anymore. I didn't know what I wanted. I just saw the days pass and then end. One evening, I decided to sit still for a long time, turned off my phone, no music, no scrolling. Just sat quietly and asked myself a simple question: how have I been living lately? And surprisingly, I realized there were so many little things, repeating every day, that I'd never taken seriously. Things that weren't overtly negative, but weren't healthy either. Habits I thought were just normal, but turned out to be quietly dragging me down a slope not loud, but very real. Like how I stayed up late every night, not for work but mindlessly scrolling my phone, then waking up late, starting the day in a mess. Like how I ate randomly, sometimes not because I was hungry but because I wanted some fleeting comfort, then felt guilty afterward. Like how I compared myself to others online, then felt worth less of them, though in real life, I wasn't that bad. Like how I told myself, I'm so bored, I'm not good at anything, everyone's better than me. Over time, I said it so much it became a belief. I stopped feeling worthy of good things. And that was one of the most dangerous bad habits, repeating a negative thought about myself without realizing it. I thought I was just venting, but really, I was planting tiny seeds of self-doubt in my mind. Day after day, month after month. I also noticed I procrastinated a lot. Everything got pushed to the last minute, even though I knew starting early would be easier, but I still didn't do it. Then blamed myself, felt weak again, but I never asked, why do I keep repeating these habits? Maybe I was avoiding something. Maybe I was scared to start. Maybe I was scared to fail. And I used those habits to fill a void, but the more I filled it, the further I drifted from myself. And at some point, I jolted awake, realizing I was living my life, but it felt like I was standing outside my own door, looking in. No control, no connection, no clear emotions. After realizing I was trapped in a cycle of unhealthy habits, I did what anyone would. I resolved to change. I made a list of things to do. Wake up early, exercise, limit social media. Sleep before 11, eat properly, journal, rest well. I set alarms, bought a new notebook, tracked my progress, pumped myself up, and for the first few days, I did great. I felt excited, like I'd finally found a way out. But after a week, it started falling apart. I skipped a run because it rained. Stayed up late because I'll just finish this video. Ate cake to reward myself after a workday. Scrolled online because just a few minutes. Then a few minutes turned into hours. Then the list faded away. I slipped back into old habits. And worse, I started blaming myself more than before. I called myself a failure, weak, undisciplined. I compared myself to others who seemed so healthy. And that familiar voice in my head returned, I'll never change. But instead of figuring out why I gave up so easily, I fixated on forcing myself to try harder. I thought if I was determined enough, strong enough, I'd succeed. So I started again, planned again, promised again, tried again, failed again. That loop went on for months. I was tired, not because I couldn't change, but because every failure made me hate myself a little more. I lost the drive to even start, because I figured I'd quit halfway anyway. But then, one sleepless night, I sat up and wrote in my journal, am I lazy? Or am I using the wrong way to care for myself? That question stopped me cold, because for the first time, I didn't criticize myself. I started looking at those bad habits not as crimes but as survival mechanisms. Maybe I stayed up late because it was the only time I felt free, unbound by expectations. Maybe I ate junk because I was chasing comfort in a stressful day. Maybe I scrolled mindlessly because I feared silence, feared facing my real thoughts. And if those habits were how I soothed myself, forcing them away instantly was like asking me to toss my only lifeboat while I was floundering. I didn't need discipline. I needed understanding, gentleness, empathy for myself, and I started learning again not to change fast, but to listen closer. I began learning to change with a different attitude, not with burning resolve, not with a packed to-do list, but with gentleness toward myself. I told myself, we don't need to fix everything in a day. We just need to shift, little by little, with understanding. And I started with the smallest thing, not blaming myself when I slipped. When I stayed up late one night, I didn't scold myself anymore. I just noted, tonight, I needed comfort again. Tomorrow, let's try a different way to feel good. When I ate unhealthy, I didn't groan anymore. I asked, what feeling was I trying to fill with food? Those questions didn't guilt me, they made me feel seen. And then, day by day, I started feeling lighter. I stopped seeing change as a battle. I saw it as a conversation. I listened to myself and made small tweaks. For example, I still liked scrolling, but I started setting gentle time limits with a soft alarm. I still had sleepless nights, but instead of opening every app, I wrote down what was weighing on my mind. I still procrastinated, but I didn't let it drag on too long. I learned to break tasks into smaller, doable pieces. I let myself mess up but didn't judge too harshly. I realized, when I didn't force myself to become a better version instantly, I found it easier to do healthy things because I wasn't pressured anymore. I was just living with understanding, with self-love, and that made it all easier. Some days, I woke up earlier just to sip water and watch light filter through the window. No need to label the day productive or not enough. I just felt a bit more at peace. Some days, I tidied my desk not because I had to, but because I wanted a clearer space. Some days, I asked myself, what made me grateful today? And that one question alone pulled me out of the tiny negative spirals that used to creep in. I started rebuilding trust in myself, not with grand promises, but with small actions every day done with gentleness. I didn't demand to be different right away. I just hoped I wouldn't give up. And I told myself, we don't need to be perfect, we just need to keep going. Something strange happened when I started treating myself with gentleness. I didn't have to try so hard to change anymore. Things shifted more naturally. I didn't need 10 alarms to wake up early. If I slept a bit earlier the night before, my body woke up feeling softer. I didn't need a detailed daily list to feel worthy. Finishing a few kind things for myself was enough. I didn't need reasons to live healthier. I ate better not to lose weight, not for praise, but because I realized I deserved ease in my meals too. I didn't need big goals to torment myself over when I fell short. I just needed to be present in each moment, and I naturally lived kinder to myself. When I loved myself enough, I knew what drained me. When I understood myself enough, I knew when I needed rest. When I was pushing too hard, when I was just filling a void, I stopped seeing changing myself as a fight. I saw it as a return to Maror, unguarded, unhidden. Maybe I'll still have bad habits. Maybe I'll still falter, stay up late on a lonely night, scroll to dodge an unnamed unease. But I don't judge those anymore. I just notice and come back to myself sooner. I don't give up. I don't reject myself. I don't use bad habits as reasons to hate myself anymore. Because I get it. No one grows without getting lost. No one heals without revisiting old wounds. What matters isn't how many bad habits I ditch, but whether I keep choosing kindness for myself after each stumble. Every time I spot a habit pulling me down, I don't say, "Why am I like this again?" anymore. I say, "Oh, I'm tired. I need a hug, not a lecture." And when I speak to myself with that gentle voice, my heart softens so much. I don't need anyone to understand me. I don't need to outdo anyone. I just need to live at my own pace, my own Rithmand do good for myself because I deserve it. That's all. Not because I'm perfect. But because I've chosen not to abandon myself again,